Hi, I am Amy Reardon, and I've been going through my book, All of You, chapter by chapter. And today I am going to be talking about chapter 16, which is called Creating New Pathways. And this chapter just really explains that when we're looking at pornography or when we're doing really anything in our lives, our brain starts to go down a certain pathway. It gets used to going that way and it starts to just automatically go that way. And that's what happens when we look at pornography, when we fantasize about certain scenarios, when we do just really so many things in our lives related to this topic or not. Our brain gets used to going a certain way. And this is when I started to really notice this in my life and I mentioned this in the last video or episode, depending on whether you're watching this on YouTube or on my podcast. I mentioned that so many times before I would speak somewhere, I would come across something. There would be pornography somewhere, something would happen that I was not expecting. And then I would try to speak, I would try to share my testimony and just have to fight through so much shame to do that because of what I came across either that morning or the day before that I wasn't at all looking for, that I just would come across. And that's why in the last episode I talked about this is also a spiritual battle. This is not just a physical battle, it's a spiritual one. But I talked about in this chapter um, just how much I started to learn that my brain just started going down the same route. If I would see something or um, have some sort of temptation, just like with you, if you see something or you find yourself tempted by something, the same kind of trigger will tell your brain. It's like your brain and body already know, oh, when this happens, this is what I do. If this happens, then this is what happens next. It just gets trained to know what to do. But the very, very, very good thing is we can, with God's help, we can retrain our brain to go the way that it was created to go. We can retrain our brain to go a different direction. And that is another way of saying renewing our mind. We can 100% do that. So I want to encourage you. Um, it can be scary when maybe you are thinking thoughts now that you never used to think, or there are things in your life that you have found to be triggers for you that you never ever thought would be a trigger for you, and you feel so much shame over that. And maybe you feel like you have ruined your brain because your brain goes just a certain way that you never ever thought that it would. It's just that your brain was trained to go that way. And the more we think about something, the more our brain will just go that direction. So I want to encourage you that that is 100% reversible. And so that's the very good news here. But in this chapter, I shared a story that I wanted to share with you just from my own life of when again, that one of those examples of when I was going to prepare for sharing at a women's event that I had the following morning. I had, I was still preparing my message that I was going to give, and I checked my emails and I saw an email from somebody. I was not at all thinking that I would come across pornography, but somehow that is what was in the email. And I was suddenly faced with the exact same kind of pornography that I used to search for years ago. And it hit me so hard when I saw that because I was not expecting it. I was not in that frame of mind. I was just not thinking about that at all. And suddenly there's this picture right in front of me, and I felt so much shame. And then I'm sure the dopamine was right there because I felt this like rush that I had not felt in many, many years. And I was like, oh no, what is that? I forgot what this felt like. What am I going to do? And so that's what was happening for me. And here I am trying to prepare for this message for the next day at a women's event. And with my story, which you probably know by now, but if you don't, the kind of pornography that I used to look at was lesbian pornography. So here I am, seeing this picture that I did not intend to see, that was just like in my mind now. And here I am preparing for a women's event the next day. And I felt so much shame. And I didn't know what to do. And I was by myself. My husband had taken the kids for that morning or for the day, I don't remember, to help give me time to prepare for this event. And I just felt panicked and I didn't know what to do. And so I prayed for God to help me. And it was that day that He started showing me a new way and what to do when that kind of situation hit me. Because obviously, that's not the last time in my life that I have come across pornography. Not in this world, definitely not the last time. Um, so I'm just looking at the chapter here because I don't want to forget anything, but I was frozen in fear when I saw that email and I deleted it. But that picture was still in my mind. And you know what it's like to see something that you didn't intend to see, and then it's there in your mind. Or sometimes maybe you're having a thought about somebody, whether it's a real person or something that you saw before, or someone in front of you, or just whatever the scenario is, and your mind just automatically goes the same way it's been going for a while because that's the way it was trained to go. There are so many different ways to um, rewire our brain and to rewire the way that it's been going. But this way that God showed me was so, so very helpful. He started showing me that very day that I could pray for this person, for that woman that I saw in that picture. I don't know if she was real. I don't even know if that was a real picture. I had no idea. But all I did know was that I was feeling panicked. Like I said, I felt that rush of probably dopamine that I hadn't felt in a very, very long time. And I did not know what to do. And I immediately started praying for her. And so I want to encourage you that you can do the same thing, whether this is concerning women, men, it really doesn't matter the specific situation. You can do the same thing. So this is when I started to realize that I could pray. So I learned when this would happen, whether it was just a random temptation that the enemy sent me, or a picture that I would come across, or whatever would happen if I was watching a movie and there was something that I didn't realize was in there, that I could pray for her. And I started praying, um, Lord God, this is how I would pray. And I wrote this down so I don't want to forget it. Father God, help me to see her as you do. I pray that you show me who you created her to be. And I just started praying things like that. If I, like with that picture, I didn't know because we don't know if that was willingly taken. I didn't know what kind of a situation that she was in. It really, really, really helped me when I started to realize and recognize these are people who, if it's pornography, people who are in bondage to this, and chances are were abused themselves, being abused, maybe to even have this picture taken. I talked to somebody just a few years. into starting my blog after sharing my story, and she had been in the porn industry for not very long because the women who are in there don't last very long. And she just told me how horrific that it was and how much alcohol and drugs and suicidal thoughts and just so many things happen, not to mention the abuse that happens to the women and to the men in that industry. And when I started to realize that, coupled with God showing me how to pray for these women, it was so incredibly powerful. So I just want to encourage you, if you come across something or thought maybe it's not even a real person, maybe it's a picture in your mind that your imagination, maybe you are used to coming up with scenarios in your mind, maybe if someone even of your past or someone that you know now, you can pray for her. You can pray for him. You can pray for their salvation. You can pray for them to have an experience with God. You can pray for their well-being. You can pray for them as you would if that person was your brother or your sister. You can pray for them in that way. You can cover any and all areas. It does not matter what the area is. But I've learned that as I do that, if I come across anything, I don't do this as much as I used to. I don't need to as much as I used to. But in the very beginning, I found myself praying all the time in this way and realizing this is so, so powerful, um, that you can pray for that person. Because the more as God started healing my heart, um, the more that the lust that I was feeling didn't feel so great anymore. I felt um, that I was dishonoring that person, and I was, but that lustful feeling didn't feel so great anymore. And God really started showing me, again, this may or may not be your story as well, but he started showing me what it meant to really love another woman, what that looked like, what that included and what that did not include. And that really helped me learn how to pray. And that helped me rewire my brain. So I can use that. I do use this. I have used this in this way. I've used it in many other ways in praying for people, and helping rewire my brain in ways that it has gotten used to going down. And this, again, as pretty much every chapter that I've talked about in this book, this can be used in any topic of your life. It's so, so very helpful. So I hope that this was encouraging for you. This is something that I wrote down at the end for an action step. Configure a list of the ways that you could pray for someone when tempted. Here are a few examples. Pray that God would let you see this person the way that he does. Pray that the Lord would heal every wound in this person's heart. Pray that he or she would give his or her life to Jesus. Pray that the destiny that God has planned for this person's life would be fulfilled. And then add whatever else comes to your mind. What else could you pray for this person as well? So I hope this was encouraging for you. I do want to encourage you, if you felt like you have ruined your brain. You have not. This is reversible, and it can help you in so many different areas of your life. This is not an overnight process. It's something that you need to practice. This is something that I need to practice. Renewing our minds is something that we need to practice, but it's good practice. And it's not something, if you find your mind wandering, or realizing, oh, I'm not doing that. I was just letting my mind go off thinking whatever it was thinking. Rein your imagination back in and try again. It's okay to try again. This is just like a muscle that you're strengthening. And you can do this again and again and again, and it will get easier and easier and easier to go down a new path. So I just wanted to um, encourage you with that today. So I will talk to you next time. Bye.